Let's do some practice graphing linear equations from the slope y-intercept form. When I say slope y-intercept form, what I'm referring to is just y equals mx plus b. That standard way that we write linear equations. So as an example, if I have something like y equals 4x plus 2, right? It's in that form, y equals mx plus b, the slope y-intercept form. How would I graph this? Well, you could make a table of values with x and y, and then have some x values like -1, 0, 1, and then you plug those all into the equation. So if I make x here equal to -1, I'd have -1 times 4, which is -4. -4 plus 2 will be -2. If I plug in 0 instead of -1, 0 times 4 is 0, 0 plus 2 is 2. If I plug in 1 for x, 1 times 4 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So I would get these 3 points, and then you could just graph it, right? You set up your xy axes like this, and you'd say, okay, at -1, I'm down here at -2. At 0, I'm up here at 2. And at 1, I'm way up here at 6. I'm way off the graph, right? I'm way up there. And then you can just connect those dots using a straight line, of course. And there you go, that's your graph. Now the other way you could do this is by saying, okay, 2 is my y-intercept, so I'm just going to put a dot here at 2, that's my first point, and then the slope is 4. So that means I go up 4 every time I go over 1, right? Because this is 4 over 1, every number's over 1, technically. So 4 over 1, that's your rise over run. So I go up 4 every time I go to the right 1. That's what that means. So if I'm here at 2, I'm going to go up 4 to a height of 6, right? Because this point here is 1, 6. That's where this point is. So I go up 4 units to 6, and I go over 1, right? Because here I was at 0 for x, and I moved over 1, right? So you go over 1, and then you go up 4. And the same thing to get this point, right? You want to continue the pattern, so as you go 1 to the left, you'll go down 4 to get to this one, right? So from here to here is 1, and then from there up there is 4. That's how you figure out this point down here is at -2, because from -2 to 2 is a distance of 4. So that's the other way you could find these points, right? You don't have to use a table of values. You can just plot your y-intercept and then a point in each direction and then connect the dots. Up to you. Okay, let's do another one. Let's say I have y equals 3 over 2x minus 4. Okay, so let's do it without a table of values. Let's just do a drawing like this. You have your xy axes. So -4 is your y-intercept, so I think we should start with that. So here I'll say is -4, so I have a point there at -4. Okay. 3 over 2 is your slope. So that means I go up 3 every time I go over 2. So if you go up 3 from -4, you're going to get to -1, right? -4, -3, -2, -1, right? You go up 3 and you get to 1, or -1. And that happens when you go over to the right 2. So I have to go over 2 to put a point here. So that's at 2, because here you're at 0, so you go 2 to the right, to 2. Okay, so that's your next point. Point after that, okay, you go another 2 to the right, so you'll be over here at 4. So you go 2 to the right, but then we go up 3. 1, 2, 3. You end up here. What's my height? Well, you're at -1. Go up 3, you get to 2. That's how you get these points. Then you can just connect those points together using a straight line like that. So this graph is represented by this equation. That's all you have to do. Let's do one more. Let's say we have y equals -2 over 7x minus 3. Same idea. I'm going to start at -3. That's my y-intercept. So I'm going to start right there. Okay. And now to go to the right, I have to go down 2 and over 7, right? Because my rise is -2, so I go down 2, 1, 2, you end up at -5, and then to the right 7. So I'll be over here at 7. That's where this point is. Now for a point on the left, I have to do the opposite, right? I have to go to the left 7, so say over here at -7, and I have to go up 2, right? So 1, 2, that would get you to -1, so that puts me right about there. So you have all these points connected together, just like this. And what's interesting here is you're going to cross your x-axis over here. If you want, you can find out what that point is. Just so that your graph looks more accurate, you could figure out what that point is. All you have to do is set y to 0 and solve for x. Because to find your x-intercept, you set y to 0 and solve for x. So we can do that math, or I could do that on the side here. Set y to 0 and solve for x. So a good practice here in your algebraic skills. So I'll start by moving the 3 to the other side. So 3 equals -2 over 7x. I want to get rid of this -2 over 7, so I can multiply both sides by -7 over 2. And the reason I do that is because this 2 and this 2 will cancel, the 7 and 7 will cancel, and the negatives will cancel. And I'm left with x is equal to all of this. X is equal to -7 divided by 2 times 3. Well, -7 times 3 is -21 over 2. So I could write it as -21 over 2. But that's just another way of saying -10.5, right? -10.5. So I can make this -10.5 just like that. And now my graph is a little bit more accurate because I have that x-intercept included.